everyone. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Welcome to this great event. How fun is this? So I'm Lisa Fielding with WBBM News Radio, and I'm honored to be here. I'm kind of in my old stomping grounds because I'm from Lake Zurich, right next door, and I used to come to Dirty Nelly's when I was in college, so I haven't been here in a while. That was only like 5 years ago, so anyway. So welcome to this spectacular event, and today we're celebrating the release of Alternate View by the Generations, right? So 3 of my favorite things are live music, which I'm sure that's one of yours as well, because that's why you're here. I love live music. I love vinyl. I'm a record collector, specifically 45s, and 80s music, of course, or music that's written in the 80s, I should say, right? Right, Rob? And philanthropy, and that's what we're really here for, right? So I'm thrilled to be your host tonight for this epic event. And before I give you a snapshot of Joey's song, the amazing charity we're all here for, to raise donations, I'd like to introduce Rob Steppen. Rob, everybody knows Rob here, of course. He's the man of the hour. This was his dream. And he's going to give you some stuff you don't know about. He's a businessman and a prolific musician. He's best known for his role as the rhythm guitarist and founder of the renowned band The Generations, of course, and they have cool t-shirts. I just got one today. Born and raised in Chicago boy, Rob showed a keen interest in music from a young age as he was influenced by both your parents who exposed him to their musical talents. Rob, this is your baby. Take it over. Tell us a little bit about why we're here tonight and why it's so important to you.
Hello, Palatine. How about Lisa Fielding? Get a hand for Lisa Fielding. She's amazing. Can I have everybody's attention? No pictures. Can I have everybody's attention? There, that's better, right, Lisa? Yeah. All right. Thank you. My dad used to do that. So some of you know why we're here tonight. And a big part of why we're here is because I happened to find 2 analog tapes in my attic 38 years later. And I decided that I needed to do something with this. So my friend Jim Perkulowitz, who's a musician, advised me to take those tapes and get them restored. And after I got them restored, by this amazing, iconic producer, Steve Albini. Steve Albini, may he rest in peace, did a masterful job of not only restoring the tapes, but digitizing them so I was able to hear them. And it was very exhilarating when I heard these songs, because I haven't heard them for 38 years. I didn't have a reel-to-reel player, and the reel-to-reel player that I had was this little woolen sack thing that my Aunt Seal, had, and it just didn't work with a 1-inch reel-to-reel player. And so I said to Steve, Steve, what do we do next? And he said, why don't you actually get a brand new band and re-record those 2 songs from 1985? And I'm like, great. He said, come on into my studio, record, and then we'll get them all mastered, because nothing was mastered back in '85. So I said, great. Can I make a vinyl album after that? And Steve said, sure. We will send it to Third Man Records in Detroit. It's owned by Jack White from the White Stripes. And so Steve did a masterful job, and we'll talk a little bit about that more later on. And what an iconic producer. We had to pinch ourselves. Adam, Stacy, we had to pinch ourselves because this guy was just amazing. And so that's why we're here today. We're here to celebrate Alternate View by the Generations. Now, we also are going to talk a little bit about the charity that we are going to make donations to in 1 second. But I have to thank my family for putting up with so much over the last couple of years to get to this point. And so Daphne, Noah, Becky, let's give a big hand for them. And I will say something pretty cool. When Adam, Stacy, and I were rehearsing with a couple other musicians, I took photographs at Fort Knox Studios, and so I showed my daughter these photographs. I said, Becky, what do you think the band should be called? She took a look at these photographs. She saw all these different people in all different ages, and she said, you got to call yourself the Generations. So Becky, thank you for that name. The other reason why we are here tonight is really to give back, to pay it forward. My parents taught my brother and my sister and I that from a very young age. And what I'm doing tonight, what this band is doing tonight, is paying it forward to Mike Gamal from Joey's song. And so I'd like to turn it over to Mike, and I want him to tell you a little bit about Joey's song. It's an incredible, heartfelt story that when my friend Phil Smith introduced me to Mike, I just couldn't believe this story. And he'll tell you about Joe, his son. He'll tell you about what he's been doing for the last 14 years in raising money for donations, in actually getting grants and doing research for not only pediatric epilepsy, but regular epilepsy. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. Mike, here you go.
I need Rob to help quiet an audience. That was amazing. Now, when he starts playing, let's hope that's not the reaction. So I'm going to get the really sad part out of the way first. So we started Joey's song because I lost my son Joe to epilepsy back in 2010, just before his 5th birthday. And it's a really crappy disease, and it's a really terrible one. And I know there's people here in the crowd tonight that are here because of epilepsy. And so when we lost Joe, even a little bit before we lost Joe, he had something called Dravet syndrome, which is a very rare form of epilepsy, and the prognosis wasn't good. It was really bad, and we had even thought before we lost Joe we should try to do something to help the next family. But Joe has 2 older brothers and sisters, so at that point my wife and I had 3 kids under the age of 8, one with severe special needs. We were just trying to make it to bedtime every day, let alone start a charity. When Joe passed, I had the option of either crawling inside a bottle of Johnny Walker Red, and there are still days when that feels like a darn fine option, or doing what we ended up doing, which is start Joey's song. The reason it's called Joey's song is Joe was nonverbal, but he was musical, and his favorite song was Elmo's song. And I'm not going to ask you all to sing with it, although I do see it in the set list for later. But that's why we call it Joey's song. And we started a long path from releasing CDs to me being fortunate to have some famous friends in the music business. It's really interesting that Rob mentioned Steve Albini, because if you were a music fan in the 80s and the 90s, there were 2 top producers, Albini and Butch Vig. Butch was my friend in college, and Butch produced Nirvana and the Smashing Pumpkins and the Foo Fighters and Garbage and Green Day, and we could be here till 12 o'clock listing all the bands. And so what Butch and I do every year, until this year, now we're doing it 6 times, but every year we put on a benefit concert where we bring in some pretty cool folks, the guys from Cheap Trick, the Bangles, the Go-Go's, Goo Goo Dolls, Portugal the Man, Silver Sun Pickup. I'm sure I'm missing some. They're all out on the slideshow out there in the foyer where the merch is. And we raise money. It's all volunteer. All those artists that I just named to you, they all come and play for free. And a lot of them come from really warm places to play in January in Madison, Wisconsin. So either I'm a heck of a salesman or musicians just say yes. I'm pretty sure it's the latter. So that's what we do. We are a 100% volunteer organization as well. We have no paid staff. I don't take a salary. We're all volunteers. So all the money we raise turns around and goes into research to finding treatments and cures for these diseases that are stealing futures and taking lives. We just recently, last year, did a $350,000 grant to Dr. Gemma Carville's lab at Northwestern. She's doing genetic stuff that I couldn't even begin to tell you what it means. I went in there and they were trying to explain it to me, and they're showing me sections of brain, and I just said, I put on concerts, because that was about as much depth as I had on the topic. But I encourage you, first of all, thanks to Rob and his bandmates, and Smitty, who's over here, trying not to be seen. Raise your hand, yes, yep. I encourage you to support these guys tonight, and if you can, there's information I set out in the foyer about the shows. There's a barcode or a QR code to make a donation or to buy tickets. All the money, no staff, we're not paying any of the artist, goes to research. So you can feel like, gee, you're not paying people's salaries, you're buying the test tubes. So with that, I'll be out there if they ever pry this microphone out of my hand. I'd be happy to answer any questions, talk to you about it. Thank you for all your support tonight, and give till it hurts. Does that make sense? Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Michael. How are you guys? 80s mixes are really hot these days, by the way, Rob. You know that, right? 80s mixes are really hot these days because it's like the best generation for music. We already know that, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about records and vinyl and how we make them. Not me. I don't know how, so I'm going to ask the questions. We're going to take a 5-minute break, get a drink, get some merch. All goes to Proceed. We also have some food up there, and we're going to get all our panelists situated here, and we're going to take questions at the end of that presentation. But enjoy yourselves. 5-minute break. We'll be back. Thank you.